If you guys need any cards, packs, sleeves, anything of that nature, shop on TCG Player using my affiliate link in the description. What's good, YouTube? With the well-worn path wrapping up, I figured it would be a neat idea to kick off a new series where I showcase some at least semi-competitive content. I think the main parameter is going to be we're going to be showing off matches involving like actually good players and also me. I don't know if I'm going to be in every single episode, but I am in this one. I decided to start off with a match of me playing the Kuraz deck just because it's so like iconic, and I think this was a pretty good match. We're going to try to be getting good replays for the series, so we have some quality sort of gameplay to go over, at least sort of. So this was a match that I played against Fancy Diesel in the team battle with X2. I think it was about a month ago at this point. I think I actually showcased this game on my members-only stream like a month ago or something. As you can see, opponent is playing Hero Frog and has won the RPS, so not great for me, but my hand is like awesome, right? My hand is just nuts. So game number one is looking pretty good for me, just right off the bat, because the opponent has no Treeborn access whatsoever. They just full pass and try to get this this Fader into Caius going, and I have just a crazy hand with the foolish Lone Fire and the Debris follow-up. They decided to Fader right away, which is probably correct given that they passed. So not going to take any damage, but we are definitely fine here. They do top deck Substitute, which is crazy for them, for sure. They definitely needed that. Giving them like immediate Treeborn access and full like dupe everything, so pretty annoying situation for me, but we do have an out technically. We have this Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, but I don't feel like using it right away, especially since we know this back row is T-Roar. So I think I just set the Snowman and pass. Okay, we also flip the Yada, just to try to like draw something to discard with Phoenix Wing, I guess, is the thought, since I really don't want to discard my Debris Dragons. So next turn we can flip up the Snowman, which is what we do, and then we can out the dupe. So I just try to hit, and they flip T-Roar, which makes sense. And then this turn, I think this is pretty much the only major misplay I made in the entire match was on this turn. You could argue maybe I should attribute Lone Fire instead of attributing Dandy. You could also argue they shouldn't have spent that Econ as well. I think those would both be valid points. But mainly what happens here is I didn't check their graveyard, and they didn't have a hero, so I could have actually interrupted this Miracle Fusion. And maybe you could also argue they should have pitched this Ocean to special swap, and then this wouldn't even have been in like a question. But I could have actually fizzled that Miracle Fusion, and I ended up losing the game because I didn't. So pretty sizable throw there on my end. It was definitely the worst mistake I made in the whole match by far. So now we're actually in a kind of rough position. We can't get anything new from our deck with the Lone Fire, so I just full pass, and they start doing more damage here. So at this point, I feel like I have to Black Rose, which, yeah, not great, because I never got any value out of this Wing Blast, right? I should definitely have used it on that one turn, but we didn't. Rough. And then we don't even get the tokens because the Ab-Zero pops them, so yeah. And then I go activate Garden, set Legacy. Garden is quite good versus the Frog deck. But yeah, we've like bled away all our advantage here. If we'd stopped the Miracle on that one turn, we'd have pretty much like won the game. It would have been very, very good for us. But unfortunately, we're in a bit of a rough spot. I think they Caius to get rid of the Garden, which is not all that great for them. In the end, because they end with a 12 Caius and go like kind of card advantage neutral. I flip up the Legacy. So at this point, I think we do just summon the Debris, because we got to get rid of this. We need to hit over it somehow. We can set the AFD and use it to get a Gear Town, or we can set the Mazel and use AFD to get a Gear Town. And then here I make a weird, not a misplay, but like a questionable play, which is I set this to play around Heavy Storm. Now, there are 2 Caius left in deck and 1 Heavy Storm, so maybe I should have played around the 2 Caius instead of the 1 Heavy Storm, but I feel like the Heavy Storm might blow me out, or I don't know. It's weird. Maybe I should have set them both. Nah, I probably should have just held it in hand. I should probably have just held the Gear Town in hand and then not like played around Heavy Storm, because this also gets like super punished because I topped that Kuraz. And yeah, it's just a massive feels bad. So we go for the Brain Control hit and then do some damage, but Another big problem with this game is the opponent just drew so much gas, because they saw all 3 Miracle Fusions by this point, so I think they just used both of them. And yep, that's what happens. So they go Miracle, Miracle, and they try to go for game. Obviously, we have a real trap card here. And there was a Mirror and a Torrential left in my deck, so this was super questionable even going for this by them, but it works out because it was not a Mirror or a Torrential. And we do take a bunch of damage. Here, we can out their field, but we know they have Ocean, so, like, we're probably just dying next turn. We milled our Mirror, and I don't even know what we need to draw. Like, Torrential or Call is the only thing we could have drawn, so we screwed that game up bad, I'm going to be honest. Mainly just that one play, actually, I think. Like, there were 2 sort of maybe should have set the Gear Town, maybe should have tributed the Lone Fire instead of the Dandy or something. I don't think that would end up mattering at all, actually. But mainly just not preventing that first Miracle Fusion was a massive throw on my part. I think that was by far the worst play that I made. Here they go 1 for 1. I think I just let that through. I could have stopped that, but yeah, I don't know. They didn't do the full dupe thing, so it doesn't end up mattering. They just go Vanity's Fiend. I end up Judgmenting, and I'm not sure why they decided into Vanity's Fiend here. It's not good. There's triple Snowman. There's triple Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. It's just endless outs. Should just stay on Caius and Ryza. It's better, for sure. I guess Ryza loses to the Iron Wall, which I did bring in this matchup because it's quite good versus Hero Frogs. So maybe that's why, but I think they were still on Caius. Or maybe they were still on Caius in Game 3, and I'm remembering wrong. So they, like, swapped it back or something. But, yeah, we go for Gadgetron with the Black Garden, and turns out to be pretty good because they had the Gores, so Garden is just very good in this matchup. Garden is tough for them to play under. So I set my Dandy with the Garden, which is a little weird. They do have the Miracle Fusion, so my board's going to get outed, and there's not a lot I can do about that. Because I can't Starlight Road in the damage step to prevent it. And even if I could, I wouldn't be able to get the Stardust. And even if I could get the Stardust would get halved by the Garden. So it's all in all a pretty bad situation. We do top deck Trooper, which is nice. I Torrential on the summon of the token, which maybe, yeah, I think was probably correct, because we were just going to get beat to death next turn. We didn't, so definitely a pretty good play there. We're just setting cards back and forth because we're both under Black Garden. I could have set that. I chose not to because they just hit over it, and then Garden gives them an 800 token, which we don't really want. Plus, we can hold it in our hand and pitch it for Phoenix Wing. So here, okay, this is a really cool turn, actually. We give them 2 Garden tokens, and then AFD plus Gadgetron is exact game over the 2 Garden tokens. It is very funny. So we out our thing, and then we go AFD, and we summon Gadgetron, and it is exactly 3,500 over the 2 Garden tokens. Don't even have to worry about Battle Fader, Trag, any of that. So very, very cool play there that I did in game number 2. Game number 3. Opponent opens. Yeah, they're on Vanity's Fiend and Caius here. I just don't think they should be on this card. I don't know. Frog players are super, like, high on siding Vanity's Fiend in just every matchup. I don't understand. Like, they bring it in even against Blackwings just because are they that scared of pulling the rug? Pulling the rug is not a fantastic trade. It's like a 1-for-1. I don't know. Like, is it really worth bringing in a card that just doesn't do anything? Just gets outed? It seems to me a little bit questionable. I feel like you should be bringing this in for, like, quick draw decks because you lose the Drill and the Mirror, and then maybe, like, a few other things, like Fairies. It's very good at dealing with Recruiters and stuff. But in this kind of matchup, I mean, I just don't think what is Vanity's Fiend doing? Are you going to summon it here? No, because I crowed the Treeborn. They could have summoned it here, and it would have just gotten outed by a Snowmanator, so I guess it doesn't really matter. They summon the swap, we get a draw, and now we have a pretty solid play. We go set Iron Wall, set Star. Is there a reason I didn't just summon Titanial? Was I that scared of the back row being, like, Mirror Force? I guess this is fine, but in general, I think just summoning Titania would have been correct there. It's not like a crazy misplay or anything, because, I mean, there are arguments for maybe wait a turn, but, yeah, they storm into our road, which is pretty sick. We did get some neat draws there into the Iron Wall, plus the Starlight Road, because Iron Wall is so nuts. Iron Wall is so nuts in this matchup. As you can see, the opponent immediately goes for Kai's, which feels really good for me because we got that Imperial Iron Wall. Now we're going into the Titanial. Get over the Kai's. So I think they just opted to summon the Ryza here. And Miracle Fusion's dead, so they can't say, yeah, they pretty much had to do that. They've got a dead DD Crow in hand, which is extremely funny. Crow is probably alright against the current KFC build, because we're on triple Debris Dragons now, along with Call of the Haunted in 42, so it's like the previous build was just 2 Debris, 1 Call? I don't remember. We go for AFD and do Gadgetron, so we're putting on a ton of pressure here. Opponent goes down to like 600 life points. They do like top deck Ryza, which was like the craziest thing they could have top decked there, actually. Just have another Ryza. Works under Iron Wall. Half their hand doesn't work under Iron Wall, which is pretty funny. So yeah, now we kind of just have to wait till we draw a way to deal damage. They go for Vanity's Fiend. I don't even out this. I'm like, we can out this next turn, you know? Which I do believe we end up doing. So we go Snowman, kill it. They go set. We go draw. We do Dust Shoot. They can't even chain the Crow because the Iron Wall. The Iron Wall was just MVP this game, honestly. This card is nuts if your deck can actually support it. Which there aren't a whole ton of decks that can, but there are probably a few. So here we go for Gadgetron, get T-Roared. This turn, I believe I should have Torrentialed probably here. Because he can just bounce this back. I should have like asked for Prio and then just Torrentialed. And I feel like that would have been the correct play. Because we're not getting this back. Like I thought maybe he was going to Tribute in main 2, which is why I held it. But actually he just bounces back my guy. So if he was going to Tribute in main 2, maybe it was correct to hold this. But he actually doesn't. So we summon back the Kuraz, pop Mazo. We have a second Iron Wall now, so I'm just like, well, might as well pop it. Get another draw. We draw into Zombie World, Call the Haunted, and it's basically going to win us the game here. I could have Torrentialed there, but he would have just summoned Treeborn back and attack. Basically, it's going to come down to whether he drew his MST exactly for turn or not to stop my Call the Haunted, and he didn't, so now he just loses the duel. I think he could have main 2 Tribute set Gores or something, probably, so maybe he didn't need to scoop so quickly here, but it was not a great situation for him, obviously, under the Zombie World and Imperial Iron Wall. I mean, that just basically stops your entire deck from functioning, so yeah, pretty intense game number 3, actually. Ends up being very close on the life point count, but I felt like I was pretty much in control the whole time with the oppressive, like, floodgates and stuff. So, yeah, that was the match. There were a few sloppy plays on my side. I think by far the biggest mistake was the Game 1 not preventing the Miracle Fusion. Obviously, there were maybe some suboptimal decisions in game number 3. I think pretty clean match otherwise overall. KFC is obviously a pretty tricky deck to pilot optimally. It's got a decent Frog matchup, though. I could do a whole video on how I feel about the matchup spread of the Kuraz deck. It's definitely a deck I've been working on a bit more lately. I had sort of neglected it for a while just because I kind of got bored with it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the match. Let me know what you think of the new series in the comments, and I will see you next time. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Furthermore, if you enjoy my content, you should think about becoming a channel member. You get access to tons of bonus content, and it's a great way to help support the channel.